Hello everybody, very good evening and welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. Myself Abhishek Singh, and in this session we are going to discuss about the inherent reason behind the extreme heat that we are experiencing in 2023. So why is 2023 so hot? What is the reason behind it? Is there any reason which is inherent in the climate change, or any temporary factor is working behind it? We will try to find out in this particular session. So let's get started without any further delay. But before proceeding further, let me just tell you about a very important thing, that StudyIQ IAS is offering the Super Learning Days sale to all of its students or the aspirants who are looking to crack examination of civil services in 2024. So make it sure that you take the benefit of this once in a time opportunity and use my code ASR Live to avail the best discounted price of this P2I course, which will be available in the English and Hindi languages, and this will inculcate all the aspects and the features necessary for any candidate to crack this examination. So we will try to know more and more details about it, but at the end of the session. But first of all, let us talk about the issue that we are discussing in this session today. So first of all, here, all of us must have noticed one thing, that despite some early showers during the month of April and May, etc., we could not witness much of the freezing showers or much relief in the temperatures during the month of July or August, or even I would say September. What is the reason behind that? That entire world is experiencing this unprecedented growth in the temperature. This entire heat wave, this is due to the reason which is definitely present not on the land but on the sides of the oceanic ridges, particularly in the Pacific Ocean. So here, when we talk about 2023 as the hottest year, let me tell you a very important thing, that usually we blame the climate change, the global warming, etc. But this is a year, right? This is I would say this is an unusual suspect which is responsible for this year's heat waves, and that is basically a volcanic eruption nearby the regions of Tonga Island in the southern Pacific of our world. Basically, where is this Tonga Island located, and why is this causing this type of extreme heat wave or extreme formation of the heat zones throughout the world? You can see here that the entire habitable area, almost entire central and southern parts of the habitable continents, they are all heating up profusely. So what is the reason? That we all are already discussed, that is the Tonga Island's volcanic eruption. So here, what is the exact reason? What is the exact difference that this particular volcanic eruption is causing? Actually, whenever the volcanic eruptions takes place, those eruptions temporarily block the access of the sun rays to the earth due to the emissions of the enormously dense clouds. However, in this particular eruption, there was the emission of gases and all the dust, etc., but not in the air. Rather, it was done like a sprout just underneath the ocean. In fact, the depth was not that much. It was hardly approximately 150 meters or something, due to which there used to be the great sprout action that resulted into the spreading of huge amount of the water in the form of the water vapors which went into the atmosphere. Okay, everyone. In fact, this particular volcanic eruption in January 2022, that was equivalent to 60,000 Olympic swimming pools of water, which was basically erupted in this particular explosion, and that much of water went straight into the stratosphere. All of you must be aware that the stratosphere is the second downmost layer in the atmosphere, just above the troposphere. That means beyond the height of 8 to 12 kilometers. Over and above that, we have the stratosphere. Okay, everyone. So something like that, something like that would have been happening. So this was a explosion which took place, and this is how it led to the great explosive sprouts during the explosion that resulted into the hanging of huge amount of water in the form of water vapors. Right. So when we talk about the formation of the island and the formation of the great depth in the Tonga Islands scenario, you can see here, this is probably the same structure that shows that here it is where the explosions might have occurred, and that had resulted into the formation of the new landforms nearby the Tonga ridges. Now guys, our problem is not exactly the formation of the new landforms or formation of anything else. Our fundamental question is that if any volcano, it causes the global cooling even for a small period of time, but then why is this volcano causing the global heat? That's the big question. The answer here is that the water vapor, it is a natural greenhouse gas. We all are aware that the specific heat of water is quite significant, and therefore it absorbs the heating waves, and then after it does not allow them to return back after reflection. Okay, in fact, we all might be aware that carbon dioxide is a basic greenhouse gas, probably the most common one. Even the methane is also there. But it will be surprising for many of us to know that water vapor has got much more potency than even carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. So this enormous amount of water vapor that went on hanging into the stratosphere layer of atmosphere, that resulted into the absorption of the heat directly coming from the intending sun rays, and that resulted into the increasing temperature of the entire ecosystem of the earth, particularly in the areas where the sun rays are more prominently visible or more prominently received. Okay, everyone. Now here, usually we see that the volcanic eruptions, like for example, that volcanic eruption that took place in the Pinatubo in Philippines in 1991, that had resulted into the partial dimming or temporary dimming of the sunshine, resulting into slight reduction of the temperature. That is basically called as the global cooling. However, that cooling effect was very, very temporary and very localized. So guys, this is how it looks. For example, have a look on here. This is basically, imagine that this is the place where the volcanic eruption might have taken place. And if you observe this volcanic eruption along with the eruption and the gases outgoing from the volcano, this might have taken, as I told you, 60,000 swimming pool size of the Olympic swimming pool. So that's basically quite a volume. So eventually what happened, that this crossed the troposphere layer and went on into the stratosphere part, where the formation of sulfate aerosol, formation of water, and in fact moisture retaining ashes, all that resulted into the creation of a layer of water vapors along with the other greenhouse gases like sulfur dioxide, and it resulted into the growing temperature. Okay, everyone. So when we talk about the major causes of 2023's specific or extraordinary heat, so these major causes are basically not just the greenhouse gas emission. In fact, let me tell you that many scientists, they also say that even more research is required in order to study the impact of the volcanoes, which is there on the global temperature cycles, be it cooling or be it heating. Because very often we just put the blame on the humanitarian or anthropogenic global warming causes or global warming factors, particularly the emissions of the greenhouse gases. But that does not mean that natural factors, they are not affecting the greenhouse emissions or they are not affecting the global warming scenario. Okay, everyone. So when we talk about, for example, other volcanoes, most often we have seen that these volcanoes put a negative impact on the temperature. That means they reduce the temperature. In fact, when we talk about the previous examples, in 2015 we have the Paris Agreement, right? We had the Paris Agreement, which resulted into the common consensus to put the temperature cap on 1.5 degrees Celsius. You can see here above the pre-industrial times to mitigate the impacts of climate change. But do you know one thing? That this single volcanic incident which has taken place in 2022 month of January, this single incident, it may result into the complete failure of this accord. It's a big claim. How can it be possible? It is possible because we all should understand one thing, that a journal called Nature, that journal is actually claiming that due to this single incident of the Tonga Islands volcanic eruption, the targeted 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in the pre-industrial revolution temperatures, that could be breached in just 5 years, just next 5 years. So guys, it is quite a worrisome situation for all of us. Now, when we talk about an account of some significant previous volcanic eruptions, this will make it more clear that we can actually use the volcanic eruptions also for mitigation of the global warming threats, at least for the temporary purposes. Meanwhile, we can develop our own mechanisms to mitigate the challenges faced due to the global warming. Now, when we talk about the earlier examples of the major volcanic eruptions, so have a look on this one, Pinatubo, that I already told to you that in 1991. Then we have the Krakatoa or Krakatoa. Then Krakatoa, after that we have Tambora, we have the Samalas, right? These were some of the earlier huge volcanic eruptions which took place. In fact, when we talk about the eruptions in the Polynesian archipelago, guys, that was so huge that it ejected somewhat like 150 million tons or more than that of the water vapor into the stratosphere. And guys, this has resulted basically in the eruption of approximately 10% of the 1.5 billion tons typically swirling in there. So guys, overall, how much water do we have in the stratosphere? We have approximately 1.4, 1.5 billion tons of the water. However, we are observing that this single incidence has increased the presence of water vapor by 10%. And that's a very, very huge number. Okay, everyone? So overall, the temperatures in the past, those eruptions have led to the reduction in the temperatures. For example, you can see that Pinatubo, it actually cut the global temperature by 0.5 degrees Celsius for more than 1 year. Similarly, Tambora in Indonesia in 1815, it led to the year without summer. That means the overall temperature for the year that was dropped down. Similarly, the eruption of the Samalas in Indonesia in 1257, it resulted into the mini ice age. The mini ice age means there was a significant decrease in the temperature, overall global temperature, for several decades, probably centuries. Okay, so we can say that all these places where you are able to see the volcanic eruptions taking place, they all might have significant consequences upon the global temperature rise and global temperature decline. Therefore, what is the next step that we can take by understanding this phenomena? We can actually do two things. Number one, we can get a pattern of understanding of the catastrophic risks which are involved in such type of volcanic eruptions. Particularly, for example, if we see that International Panel on the Climatic Change, it says that at least one such eruption is likely to happen in upcoming period. But let me also tell you that if one Pinatubo style eruption takes place, we are able to witness either the rise in the temperature or the decline in the temperature, but that is very uncertain that which volcanic eruption would take place in which part of the world. Okay, this is why it is being recommended by IPCC that we must conduct more and more research, more and more studies of the volcanic eruption patterns and their consequences. In fact, it has also been suggested, as we were talking about the two significant impacts. So number one, that was to understand the more significant impacts of the volcanic eruption and the trends of that. Second thing, that we can actually use these type of eruptions, or we can use these type of the consequences of the eruptions in the form of the geoengineering to cool the planet artificially. So guys, every problem has got its own solution, right? So if we are unable to cope up with the on-rise challenge of global warming, so we can actually utilize these type of volcanic eruptions, or if we cannot utilize it directly, then we can at least imitate the similar patterns of the ejections, massive ejections into the atmosphere, leading to the depriving of or declining of the temperature without any natural factor, without any natural explosions. So this sounds a very distant theory, this sounds a very unbelievable sort of thing, but you may expect that such type of technology, such type of steps, they might be possible in the upcoming future. So UPSC is quite interested in any form of the futuristic implications to cope up with the challenge of the environmental issues. So guys, you may expect such type of questions in the upcoming preliminary examination, where the impact of volcanic eruptions on the global climatic cycles or global temperature zones or heating patterns, that might be asked to you, okay, because it is a topic which is very general in interest, right? So that's why it is advisable to all of you that go through this lecture once again. If you are unable to understand it in the first time, have a basic read of this and then go through this lecture once again to understand it much better. And for the rest of things, guys, you can actually enroll in our P2I batches, which will provide you not only the comprehensive syllabus coverage of the general studies syllabus, but also the current affairs program will be there, along with the one-to-one mentorship, as well as the dedicated books for the UPSC preparation will also be provided. Today is 29th of September, and we all are having one more day, that is 30th, that is tomorrow, to get enrolled in this particular batch, so that it's very essential that you take a quick and wise decision, because if you are targeting 2024, my dear, it is already past, right? It is already past the best time. And why so? Because this is the end of September, so you don't have much time to enter into the preparation. If you have already decided to go for 2024, quickly join these batches with my code ASR Live, which will enable you to get this course in just rupees 26,999, which is otherwise available for quite a hefty price. Thank you so much for watching it, guys, and make it sure that if you love this session, do not forget to share this with your friends as well as your colleagues or anybody who wants to understand the reason behind the ongoing heat waves in 2023 for so long in the year. In case if you want the content of this particular class or any classes of mine, you can join my Telegram channel by scanning this QR code. Thank you so much for watching it, guys. Take care, bye-bye, and Jai Hind.